longevity lifestyle designers. This is Governing Your Secrets of Longevity.com. An emerging issue with people today that they're finding that they're facing is what I kind of describe as minor addictions. So everyone knows the inherent dangers and drastic problems that come into your life with major addictions, drugs, alcohol, on a more longer term time scale, conventional tobacco. And with the recent death of Philip Seymour Hoffman, that's issue's been brought into the limelight once again with harder drugs. What most people don't recognize, I guess gambling would also fall into that category, and it's a little longer term of an issue. But increasingly we see people becoming addicted to things that don't exactly wreck your life that quickly, but they're persistent time wasters that will over time get bigger and bigger, and they can become absolutely horrendous in terms of wrecking any hope and drive for attaining your goals in life. So these would be things like junk food, pornography, internet addiction just to basic social media things like internet memes and just following all this sort of content. And of course there's absolutely nothing wrong with entertainment, but it's the constant consumption of it that's being used as a way of getting this dopamine release in the brain that becomes addictive in that we are constantly distracted when we don't have it. And if you were to take even a 1 or 2 day break from it, you'd find that you're starting to get antsy. You're constantly having this desire to check your phone or your computer. And that's a sign that there's something pretty serious going on that you need to address in your life. Now there's emerging groups and things for things like internet addiction, pornography addiction, both online and offline. I guess it would be kind of counterproductive to have an internet addiction group online, but what we need to do first is understand how this is happening and like what are the processes in the brain. And I've got an article linked below that gives a really great comic that describes the reptile brain, essentially the fight or flight limbic system of the brain that guides us towards these pleasure-seeking activities that really erode our willpower. And it becomes apparent through constant attraction to these sort of frivolous time wasters and energy-draining activities. And then after the comic, it goes into the science behind it and understanding the basic chemistry of what's happening there. And it has a really great suggestion for approaching the issue, which is taking a week-long sabbatical from one of these things if you're finding it to be a problem in your life. Now, from my own experience being online, doing my work online, I've come up against distractions quite a lot more frequently than had I been in a conventional workplace, especially working under someone else. When you have that external authority to try and keep you in line, you have to be your own authority. So it's been an ongoing journey at strengthening both my own willpower and ability to keep myself from being distracted. Things like YouTube videos that aren't about the immediate topic I'm trying to research on, or articles, like just constantly consuming information. It could even be educational information. That could almost be seen as like an intellectual addiction where you're just constantly consuming information. You might learn something from it, but is it actually applicable and benefiting your life? And it could even be doing that, but is it distracting you from accomplishing more important things? So these are all degrees of strength in terms of how much they're affecting you, how much they're negatively affecting you, how much are they distracting you from important things, how much is that activity in and of itself harmful. So, we could say obviously an internet addiction isn't as harmful for you except for the fact that it might be really hard on your eyes and the electromagnetic frequencies, but a junk food addiction could clearly be a lot more harmful if the foods happen to have an exorbitant amount of toxic chemicals and artificial flavorings and colorings, etc. But essentially, I think what does happen with a lot of people is they come into contact with these things and become dependent on them because it has that sort of false sense of fulfillment that comes from this dopamine release. We need that dopamine release sustained and balanced throughout the day to keep us motivated to do things. But if you don't have that higher calling or that intention to be on a path that's towards something productive in your life, goals, even if the goals aren't the most lofty thing, like trying to save humanity or whatever, having goals and being clear about your direction is the single best protector against falling into these traps of, watching 7 hours of Netflix in a row, or just the mindless consumption of anything from entertainment, online-based stuff, or junk food, or even pornography. These things are distractions, but to counteract them, we need to both recognize our addiction to them, and that can be done through these mini sabbaticals, as the article suggests. But you also have to get on track and understand that having a self-directed purpose is one of the best defenders against that. So this is a very difficult thing, because finding fulfillment in some form of a purpose is not something that can be addressed like, I have such and such skin rash and all I have to do is take this supplement or put this cream on it to get rid of it. That's a very easy thing to do once you've found out the information and implement it. But these things of a psychological nature, which aren't overly recognized yet in our society as real problems, but are, in my opinion, one of the biggest challenges to our society today, because it distracts people from the big issues that matter in the world. I mean, just look at the way the mainstream media uses entertainment to keep people fixated on something that keeps them from paying attention to the more important issues that people should be standing up for, such as NSA spying in the US. So through the strength of purpose, which is something that we just need to buckle down and start to explore, there are means of learning about this through articles. I'm by no means an expert in self-motivation. It's just something I've applied to myself, but I guess the best help I can give people is just to say go do that through your own research. I don't have any specific resources, but these strategies that really help you give perspective as to whether it's affecting you in a big way or not is taking these little breaks from things, and instead of trying to correct your entire lifestyle all at once, you just choose one thing. Like, I'm not going to visit this social media website which I visit the most, as long as it's not directly connected to work. So for me, I wouldn't do that with Facebook, because I post on Facebook and use it as a platform for my work. But there might be another site for me. From you, it might be Facebook, it might be some other one. And you just tell yourself, okay, for this week, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to try and, fix my diet, start up a massive exercise regimen, and correct my sleeping patterns all in 1 week. That's too much, and that really is not the way that you work with your willpower. You have to think of it like the ability to sprint. If you're trying to pursue 3 different things at once, you're going to burn yourself out very fast. Willpower doesn't inherently have the ability for endurance. It's more of a fast burst type of thing. So when you focus your ability to sprint on one objective, the finish line, you can get there. It's not designed to carry you through with something. That's what a habit does. It's through the routine building of a habit that gets you to having that newfound pattern in your lifestyle. It's the willpower that starts the practice of that habit, but it doesn't carry you through. And so by trying to do too many things at once, you burn out your willpower, and then you just fail at everything, and you feel terrible about yourself. You fall into a deeper pattern of relying on these sort of dopamine-releasing activities that don't add any real value to the life in the end. So yeah, this process of learning self-knowledge around how you behave with these certain things, because different people will have different vices that they get locked into, that gives you the ability to explore and attain greater purpose in your life, and that gives you more value to your life. Maybe your purpose is just to have a family, and that is an absolutely noble purpose. It changes the world through handing down your morals and ethics to your offspring. Perhaps it's your activity in a community, perhaps it's a career in entertainment, perhaps it's a career in business. Whatever it is, when we get the things done that we want to get done, we feel better about ourselves than, the hour spent watching some TV show, or whatever cyclical vice we tend to get engaged in too often. I'm by no means just saying don't have any vices, don't ever enjoy yourself in a sort of non-productive type activity, because those have their place, but they don't need to be taking up large amounts of your life, and they don't serve as a replacement for time with the family, time with friends, time, doing the things that we do to feel like our life has purpose. A lot of people know about tonic herbs and the idea of the 3 treasures. I'm not going to recap it, you can always look this up, but the idea of Jing, Qi, and Shen. And that third final treasure, which is the intention of the other two treasures, to build and fortify in a sustainable way so that we can constantly be in this state of being on purpose, on track, and enjoying life, is Shen. Shen is difficult to describe and define, but it has the qualities of being spiritually at ease. It's often associated with enlightenment, but it also has a very much more understandable, grounded idea of being balanced emotionally, having clear thought, and things like that. So when that's in alignment, we are doing things that we like to be doing, and they're not just dragging us into that sort of indulgent type behavior. So one of the absolute best herbs for doing this, everyone's heard of it, is reishi mushroom. It is one of the most preeminent Shen building herbs. People have even had healing crises from it. A lot of people report that. We hear about it all the time, where they just have a sudden change of heart about what they're doing in life. They get a purpose. They might leave a job, or they might just feel more drawn to be doing what they're doing with more passion, more motivation, or it might bring up some old stagnant emotional baggage that you start to move through. There's people who have described just outwardly finding they start having crying fits from whatever dark stuff they have in their past that gets brought up through the use of this herb. That's not a scientific validated thing, it's just an experience people have had, and it's even more pronounced with the wild forms of the herb, but high quality reishi has that ability as well. And there's a sale right now for 4 days using the coupon code reishi over at Hyperion Herbs, and that actually gets you both 15% off reishi but also all their other products. So that's a good way of investing in some tonic herbs that will help you perhaps break through any barriers you have to feeling more fulfilled about life and getting on purpose, getting on track, breaking these cycles of minor addiction which drag us down. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Check those links below as well. And with that, I'll talk to you next time. Take care and embrace life without limits.